Jarrad Branthwaite to Manchester United looks like it could be back on, with Everton signing his replacement in the last couple of minutes. Victor Lindelof is out of first team training ahead of a permanent move to Fenerbahce and a new bid from Fulham for Scott McTominay. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this episode. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's completely free content and everyone is welcome. Right, I'm going to start the show off by going in about Matthijs de Ligt, because there is some breaking news that's just come out in the last half an hour that apparently Manchester United have told Bayern Munich that they will not pay a penny more than £38 million for Matthijs de Ligt. So we'll talk about that in a second. But as always, I like to start off my videos by asking you a question. I like to make the show interactive. I like to see what you Manchester United fans have to say. And the question is this: if you had to pick between Jarrad Branthwaite and Matthijs de Ligt, who'd you go for? You can only have one. Let me know the name in the comment section below. I'll give you my answer in a couple of minutes' time. But let's bring you the news on Matthijs de Ligt. So £38 million is the price that Manchester United are willing to pay. Obviously, they had a bid rejected, I think it was last week, for £25 million plus £4 million in add-ons. Man United have told Bayern Munich they will give them £38 million in add-ons. Apparently, they're willing to pay about £30 million up front with around £8 million in add-ons. I think that's fair, to be honest. Like £38 million total package, including add-ons. I think that would be an okay deal. I saw some people in the comments earlier saying, like, he's not even worth 20. I think Matthijs de Ligt is worth 20 million. Come on. Like, he is a very, very good player. Yes, he's had some problems with injuries, but on his day, he's one of the best centre-backs in the world, I think. You don't get that big money move from Ajax to Juventus if you're not very good. And then he goes from Juventus to Bayern Munich. And he was very, very good for Bayern Munich for a long period of time. He's just had some injury issues, which have obviously, have effectively set him back a little bit. But I would be happy if we got him for like 30 million plus the 8 million in add-ons that's kind of being reported today. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys think about that one. £38 million is apparently the fee that Manchester United have said is the absolute max, including add-ons, that they will pay for Jarrad Branthwaite. So we'll see how that one materialises. Obviously, we'll talk about Jarrad Branthwaite in a minute as well. But yeah, 38 million for Matthijs de Ligt. Let me know your thoughts on that one. I wanted to talk a little bit about Casemiro as well quickly today, because there is some breaking news that came out in the last couple of minutes that apparently Erik ten Hag is more than happy to keep Casemiro at Manchester United beyond this summer. It says he believes that the Brazilian has an important role to play across the 2024-25 season. And you know what, right? If we can't get the money that we want for Casemiro, then I would have to agree with him. If a big money offer comes in from Saudi, I would sell Casemiro in a heartbeat, without a shadow of a doubt. But at the moment, that offer's not on the table. The Saudi clubs haven't come knocking for Casemiro, so it's easy for us to say, sell him, sell him, sell him, but there's no market for him. The only teams that will be able to cover his wages are those in Saudi. And at the moment, the Saudi clubs aren't circling for Casemiro. We thought they would be. You know, we heard that Cristiano Ronaldo was supposedly trying to convince Casemiro to join their league, but it just hasn't happened. And the thing we have to remember is, just because Casemiro hasn't gone to Saudi yet, it could still happen. Their window doesn't close until October, the Saudi league, I believe. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure Saudi league window close. I might have made that up. No, I haven't made it up. October the 6th. So, I mean, our window closes on August the 31st, and the Saudi window stays open for like another 5 weeks after that. So there is always the potential that in September or October, Casemiro leaves the club. You know, that is a very, very strong possibility. So we need to plan ahead. We need to make sure we're covered in those positions. But him staying for one more season, I don't think would be the end of the world. I think if we could sell him earlier on in the window and then we're able to reinvest that money and get a replacement, then I would go and do that. But as it stands at the moment, it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. So Casemiro and Manchester United maybe one to keep an eye on. I don't think he's going anywhere. But again, you can let me know how you feel about Casemiro. I know some people in the fan base are, probably screaming at their screen right now saying, sell him, sell him, sell him. But you can only sell when there's a buyer. And no Premier League club's going to buy him. No La Liga club's going to buy him. No Serie A club's going to buy him. You get the picture. The only options he really has is MLS and Saudi, and that's it. And at the moment, neither of them want him either. So we might be stuck with him for one more year. And you know what? If Casemiro comes back and he's on form, I think he's a good asset to have around the club. And I don't think it's the end of the world because I do like Casemiro. I think last season he was terrible, but last season everyone was terrible, realistically. The only people who weren't terrible last year was Mainu, Garnacho, Højlund was decent. Dalot was decent. Other than that, I think they were all pretty average, weren't they? Realistically. So, I mean, even Bruno last season wasn't at his normal level. So, yeah, maybe it was just a one-season thing, and maybe Casemiro will come back this season stronger, and he'll, put all the haters to bed. And you know what? I would love for that to happen because he is a quality player. But when I watch Casemiro, it just looks to me like his legs have gone. It doesn't look like he's at the level of what we need him anymore, and that might just be an age thing. I don't know. And it's a shame, really, because I was so excited when Casemiro joined Man United. But yeah, there's not really much we can do about that, is there? But yeah, what do you guys think? Like, do you think Casemiro is as good as done, or do you think there's a potential that we can somehow resurrect him and get him back to the form he was in before? But the thing that we have to remember is as well, right? Casemiro's had a full preseason. He's training now. He'll be involved in all of the preseason matches. Come the first game of the season, Casemiro will probably be the most ready player out of all of them. Remember, we play our first game of the season 2 weeks today against Man City in the Community Shield. That's our first proper game. And our first Premier League game is now less than 3 weeks away. So we need to make sure that we have players here. I mean, Mainu's still on holiday. Bruno's still on holiday. There are so many players who are still on holiday at the moment. Whereas Casemiro's there, he's training, he's ready to go. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. Macmillan says, Muppeteers said the CEO of Saudi, who gets players for clubs, has now set the Saudi budget, so Casemiro may now leave. Fair enough. I haven't heard that from anywhere, but thank you for bringing that into the show. Obviously, if we get any more news on Casemiro, I will bring it to you as soon as I get it. But as it stands at the moment, this is the story that's being reported, that apparently Erik ten Hag would be happy with Casemiro staying next season. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. We've got over 800 people in the room right now. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this video. So make sure you go and like the video if you haven't already. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. I'm live every day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. And for anybody who's new, I am going to be giving out 2 of the new blue Manchester United away kits when we hit 40k subscribers. So make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already. Everyone is welcome. Okay, let's move on to Victor Lindelof then, shall we? Because apparently, well, not apparently, I'll give you where the stories come from and I'll read it out for you before I give my opinion. This is coming out from James Ducker and multiple different other journalists as well. All of these journalists are on tour at the moment with Manchester United, by the way. So they're in America, in LA, with the team. Obviously not literally with them, but they're watching the training sessions. They're at the press conferences, etc. And he is reporting today that Victor Lindelof did not train with the Manchester United squad yesterday. It says that United are taking precautions as the player is set to be sold this summer. So that was the first bit that came out. And then about half an hour later, we had multiple different Turkish outlets coming out saying that Jose Mourinho is now pushing to bring Victor Lindelof to Fenerbahce. Lindelof to Fenerbahce has been a hot topic for some time. We've known for a while that Jose Mourinho's number one target this summer was to get Victor Lindelof. And I think we can all agree that it probably is time for Victor Lindelof to leave Man United. He's got 1 year left of his contract. He's 30 years of age now. He just turned 30 last week. Manchester United don't want to give him a new deal, which I agree with. He's on relatively big wages as well, which I don't think is really justified, to be honest. Has Lindelof ever been good enough? I don't know. I just think he's average, to be honest. He's on 120 grand a week as well, which is a hell of a lot of money for somebody who is going to be probably 4th, 5th choice centre-back. I genuinely would rather have Johnny Evans than Victor Lindelof, I think. Genuinely. Because I don't think there's a massive difference in the quality. And Lindelof's on double the wages of Johnny Evans. And at least Johnny Evans has the experience and has, been at Man United in the Sir Alex era and all the rest of it, whereas Lindelof doesn't. So, yeah, Victor Lindelof to Fenerbahce looks like a hot topic and looks like one that will be concluded very, very soon. Transfer fee-wise, it's not going to be a big one. It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 million euros, which I think is probably fair. We can't really for that much more than that, considering he's only got 1 year left of his deal. He's 30 years of age and he's on big wages. When you factor in all of those things, 10 to 15 million euros is probably about right. But yeah, obviously by getting rid of Lindelof, it kind of allows us then to bring in a new centre-back, which we'll talk about in a minute. It allows us to go for a Branthwaite or a De Ligt, or maybe we get both. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if the video's all right. It looks like it's lagging a bit. Let me know what you think about Victor Lindelof. Would you be happy with him leaving, or do you think he deserves another chance at Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm personally happy about it. I think it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, as soon as we get the Here We Go, I will go live. So make sure you subscribe. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat here. Carez says you're going to watch the game tonight. Yes, I will watch the game tonight. I'm not doing a watch along for this one, though. It's at 1 in the morning. I don't really want to be doing a live stream at 1 in the morning. I'm just going to chill on my sofa and watch it. Macmillan says, I think Maguire is way better than Lindelof. I would agree. I would. I think Maguire in the right setup is quality. In a back five where you're playing on the edge of your box, I think he's great. But in an Erik ten Hag style team, Harry Maguire doesn't really work, does he? But yeah, so Victor Lindelof to Fenerbahce, it looks like that one will happen. Obviously, I wish Victor Lindelof all the best. I'm still kind of scarred by the days where we had Lindelof and Maguire as our two starting centre-backs. They were pretty horrible times, weren't they? But yeah. Keeping on the topic of centre-backs, there's some more news this evening coming out about Trevoh Chalobah. And the news this evening is that apparently Manchester United have now officially entered the race to sign Trevoh Chalobah. Apparently Fulham and Crystal Palace are the other two clubs that are trying to sign him. For whatever reason, Trevoh Chalobah is surplus to requirements at at Chelsea. I don't really know why. I spoke to one of my friends who is a Chelsea fan, and he said that Trevoh Chalobah was really good. He said that he was part of the reason they got loads of wins at the end of the season. But he did then go on to say that apparently he's not very good in a possession-based team. He's a little bit frantic with the ball. So I don't really understand how that would work at Man United, because effectively we want players who can play a possession-based game. And if Trevoh Chalobah can't do that, then it seems like a bit of a strange signing. But I still personally think that all of these other players we're linked to, like the Chalobahs, the Antonio Silvas, I think it's all of a bit of a smokescreen from Ineos. I think really we know the players that they want. They want Jarrad Branthwaite and they want De Ligt. So I don't really think that we're actually seriously in for Trevoh Chalobah or Antonio Silva, to be honest. But you never know in football, And what I will say is this, Ineos are keeping their options open at the moment. They're not just going for one target. They are exploring multiple different players on the market. And obviously we know that Chalobah and Antonio Silva are two names that they have been linked to and are interested in supposedly. But whether or not that will materialise is yet to be seen. Right, moving on from that though, I want to talk about Christian Eriksen, because there is some more breaking news on him coming out in the last couple of minutes. So this is coming out from a Belgian newspaper, very, very reliable on the Belgian league. And they are reporting in the last couple of minutes. Let me just get the story up. They are reporting that apparently Anderlecht are trying to sign Christian Eriksen this summer. It says Eriksen has not yet decided on whether he wants to stay in the Premier League or not. It says if he leaves England this year, Anderlecht have a good chance of signing him. I honestly think that Eriksen will move on this summer. We know that Ajax want him. Obviously now Anderlecht want him. I think we could get 5 to 10 million for Christian Eriksen, and I would be happy with that. I think it would be a decent bit of money. Obviously, it's not that much, but when you think that we got him for nothing, 0 transfer fee, if we got 5 to 10 million for Christian Eriksen, that would be straight profit. And we would be saving a massive amount of wages as well. Eriksen's on about 150k a week at Manchester United, which is, let's be honest, crazy money. Christian Eriksen, when he was at his prime for Tottenham, yeah, 150k a week, fair enough. But Christian Eriksen at the age of 30, well, he's 32 now, but we signed him when he was 30. Do we think he's worth 150k a week? I don't think so. I don't think Ineos would sign a 32-year-old on 150k a week now, you know? So, yeah, we have to look at it like that. But Christian Eriksen to Anderlecht, that's definitely one to keep an eye on. And it does look like outgoings are now starting to move forward, which is really, really good, because I know a lot of people have been saying, like, why are we not selling anybody? What's going on? But at least we can talk about today that Victor Lindelof looks like he's going to join Fenerbahce, which is a good move for everybody. And also now Eriksen looks like he's going to either join Anderlecht or Ajax. So that's positive. That's moving forward. But yeah, how do you all feel about the current window at the moment? Like, are you happy with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm generally happy about it. I think the most important thing for me is getting rid of players. I've said that many times before, but I think removing the players that are surplus to requirements for me is just as important as the signings, because getting rid of players will allow us to spend more money. And we know that we have to do it in that order. You know, you got rid of the Donny, you get rid of Greenwood, Brandon Williams, Willy Campoala, whoever else it might be. Like, that will have all helped our financial fair play situation. Letting Martial go, letting Varane go, like, players on big wages that have been moved on, and it makes a lot of sense. But I want to move over to Matthijs de Ligt really, really quickly as well, because there was a story that broke a couple of hours ago from Florian Plettenberg, who is reporting that apparently Manchester United are now back in talks with Bayern Munich over a double deal for Matthijs de Ligt and Mazraoui. He says that apparently Bayern Munich need sales, i.e. to get rid of those two players, in order to buy the players that they have targeted for this window. So it looks like if we want to get Matthijs de Ligt, we can get him, and maybe for a slightly reduced fee. As I said earlier on in the video, Manchester United apparently willing to pay £38 million for de Ligt, which I still think is maybe a little bit high, but it's up to Manchester United. You know, I'm not Dan Ashworth. I'm not Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Like, if they think that's a good value, then go for it. Somebody in the chat says, I would stay clear of de Ligt. We can't be having injuries like last season. Mate, I hear your pain. I do. And I know it's frustrating. And I know lots of people are like, why are we signing somebody who's injury prone? And I don't know the answer to that question. And you just have to trust that Ineos know what they're doing here. Because when you look at de Ligt's injury record, it is a big red flag. The same with Mazraoui. His injury record's pretty bad. Both of them. Really big red flags. And we do have to consider what happens if we have another injury crisis next season, you know? We can't let our whole season next year be ruined because of another injury crisis. That's happened once already this year, and it can't happen again. So, yeah, I don't know. And I'm still siding with Branthwaite, who we'll talk about in a minute. Obviously, I asked you earlier on in the video, who would you rather between Branthwaite and de Ligt? So obviously make sure to let me know your thoughts on that one below. But yeah, let's see what else people are saying in the chat today. Fred says less than 300 likes. It does help the channel out. Yes, thank you very much. If everyone who is watching could like, that would be appreciated. We've got over 1,100 of you in the room today, which is great. If even half of you like the video, we would be nearly halfway to our likes target. So go and do that. And make sure you subscribe as well if you haven't already. I've just dropped a link in the chat to subscribe, and I will be giving out 2 of the new Man United kits when we hit 40k, so go and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to do the blue one for the next giveaway, so 2 of the new blue Manchester United kits. Ross says some people are calling de Ligt injury prone but say we must sign Dani Olmo. I assume you're saying that Dani Olmo is injury prone as well. Fair enough. What else have we got here? Cariz says, hopefully Martinez and de Ligt don't get injured at the same time. Yeah, not good. Leaf says, how much do you think de Ligt will reduce his wages by? He's currently on 260k a week. Apparently de Ligt is willing to drop his wages considerably, somewhere around 160 grand a week. But I still think that's a lot for a player who missed, I think, over 20 games last season. You know? Raymond says we should pay 50 million tops for De Ligt and Mazraoui. Yeah, that sounds about right, I'd say. Combined, if we could get both of them for. And somebody else above says, how much are we offering for De Ligt? Well, the first bid we put in for De Ligt was £25 million, right? That was rejected. Bayern Munich are saying we want 42. And this latest report that's just come out in the last couple of minutes is saying that apparently United have told Bayern they will pay 38, including add-ons, but no more. That's the absolute max they'll do. So whether or not Bayern accept it is yet to be seen. We know that Bayern Munich need to sell players. We know that they're absolutely desperate for cash. We know that they've already agreed a deal with Bayern Leverkusen for Jonathan Tah. So if they want to get the players that that they have in their sights, they will have to sell De Ligt and they will have to agree on a deal. So yeah, let's wait and see how that one progresses. Big ups to Fred, who's just gifted a membership to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. Whoever got the membership, make sure you say thank you to Fred in the chat. Legend. I hope you're doing well, mate, and thank you for your support. Let's see what else people are saying. Liam says, can you please explain why you think De Ligt is injury prone? He has no recurring injuries. His record is pretty standard. Well, all we've got to do, right, is go and look at his injury record over the last 4 years. I don't really think it matters that much if it's different injuries, because overall, you're looking for a pattern here. And last season, he had a recurring issue with his knee. Okay? It first came about in November, right? And he missed 9 games. He came back in December and they thought everything was all right. And then 3 months later, that same injury came back. And he's effectively, I know he was on the bench for the Euros, but he was injured until pretty much the middle of May. So last season, he was injured for about 100 days across the whole season. 20 games. 80 days he missed. And he had 4 different injuries last year. 2 of them were a knee. One of them was a knock and the other was a calf. So that was all within the space of 1 year. Now, injury prone doesn't necessarily mean it's the same injury recurring. It can mean that they're susceptible to injuries. Like Eric Bailly, for example, right? He was injury prone, wasn't he? His body was made of glass. He'd play 1 game and be world class, and then he would be injured for like 3 months. And then he'd come back and play 1 game and then be injured for 3 months. I think that's what people's fear is with De Ligt, that he keeps getting injuries and they're always different injuries. And yeah, but if I'm going to be really, really fair, okay, last season he missed 20 games, which is obviously a massive red flag. The season before that was only 5, which I think is normal. And then the season before that was 28. So if you actually, I saw someone talking about this on Twitter, right? If you add up the last 7 years and you combine all of his injuries, how many games missed, etc., across a 7-year period, it was only like 5 games on average. And that's for international and domestic. So it's not actually that bad when you look at it over a longer period. I think people are more worried that in recent years, in the last 2 or 3 years, he's had 2 lengthy spells through injury. So it's not necessarily like an injury-prone player where he's got, I don't know, a knee injury and he keeps coming back. It's every single time it's different injuries. Now, I don't know whether that's, does he go into tackles too hard? I don't know. I honestly don't know the reason. Like, if there's anybody here who watches Bayern Munich recently, let me know. Maybe it's the way he plays. I think Lisandro Martinez is like that, to be honest. I think he will do anything, won't he, Martinez, to win the ball. And sometimes the way that his body stretches or the way that his leg extended, like, it can cause injuries. So I don't know whether De Ligt is a similar type of player. I'm honestly not sure, but I would still like De Ligt. You know, I think he would be a good signing. I just think the key thing here is not to spend too much money on him. Like, that's the key thing here. Somebody in the chat says, how can we pay De Ligt 160k a week when Lisandro Martinez is only on 120? Yeah, that's a fair point. The thing is, right, if you give De Ligt and Branthwaite 160k a week, then Lisandro Martinez is going to want a pay rise. And I don't blame him, you know? He would deserve a pay rise, 100%. Like, Lisandro Martinez could arguably be the captain of Manchester United if Bruno left. I think he probably would become the captain, wouldn't he? I would vote for him to be the captain. That obviously is the risk you play when you bring in new players. Like Martinez is going to be sat there saying, I want more money. But yeah. Let's see what else people are saying. Liam says, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but calling him injury prone is a big label 40 million is not a lot of money these days. But is that not what injury prone is? Is injury prone not just where someone's prone to injury? Like, I don't really see how that's an offensive label of him. Over the last 7 years, as I said, his injury record's not bad at all. It's not. It's on average 4 games a season when you add all of them together and divide them. But in the last 2 or 3 years, it was 20 last season. And then the season before that, it was only 5. But the season before that, it was 28, you know? So in recent history, Matthijs de Ligt has had injury problems. And that's why I'm not calling him injury prone. I'm just saying that he has had some serious issues. And that's why I think a lot of people are kind of steering away from it and saying, you know, maybe we shouldn't pay the money that's being mentioned. That's all I'm kind of saying here. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Liam says Martial is injury prone. Okay, let's do that comparison. I'm more than happy to have this conversation. That's the whole point of this show, by the way, guys. It's to have conversation, you know? It's not the me show. We should be able to come here and have a conversation and, you know, discuss stuff. So if somebody in the chat is saying that Anthony Martial is injury prone, and you know what? I would agree with you. Anthony Martial's injury record is 10 times worse than Matthijs de Ligt. It is. Like, Martial missed 12 games, 27 games, 17 games, 12 games, 10 games. That's just bad luck, isn't it? I think. But yeah, Chris says, what you're describing sounds like injury prone to me. We can't be buying injured players again. I don't know. I honestly think that if the price is right, Matthijs de Ligt coming back to reunite with Erik ten Hag, I think it's a clever signing. I do, and I'd be really excited about it. I just don't think it's a good deal for 42 million plus add-ons. I don't think that's an opportunity in the market, you know? Whereas if you get him for 30, 35 million, I think that would be a bargain. So that's kind of what I'm saying here. And I think that Manchester United can play on the fact that he's had these injuries recently. He might never get injured again in his whole career. You know, that's a strong possibility. He might come to Manchester United and we might look back on this video in 2 years' time and say, what a signing De Ligt was. He never had an injury again. But all you can do is look at recency. And recency says that he has had some injuries. And that's effectively all that I'm saying, okay? Okay, let's move on from that, though. And let's move over to Jarrad Branthwaite. But before we talk about Branthwaite, we're now halfway to our likes target, guys. We've got 500 likes in the bag. Let's go for the full 1,000. So please go and do that if you haven't already. And make sure you subscribe as well. We're only 2 subscribers away from 33,600 now. So go and subscribe. Remember, we will be giving out 2 shirts when we hit 40k. So please go and subscribe. Let's try and hit 40k by the end of August at the latest. So 2 Manchester United shirts by the end of August. That's my promise to you. Obviously, if we hit 40k. So go and subscribe now. Liam says, would you consider Maguire to be injury prone? De Ligt has been out injured less than Maguire. That's a good take. I haven't thought about that. Let me have a look. I want to check what you're saying is correct. I'm not calling you a liar, by the way. I just want to look for myself before I give an opinion. So, I mean, it's not really the same though, mate. It's not. It's not the same. Last season, Maguire was out for 11 games. De Ligt was out for 20. The season before that, Maguire was out for 7. De Ligt was out for 5. And then the season before that, De Ligt was out for 28 games and Maguire was out for 9. So, no, I wouldn't call Maguire injury prone. All I'm saying is that in recent history, he's had injury problems. And that's why he's cheap. Because he's clearly worth more than 35 million. That's the situation here. People are saying, what's going on about Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Let me just double check unless there's anything that's broken. Because as far as I'm aware, Wan-Bissaka is still a Manchester United player. There's people saying something's happened to Wan-Bissaka. I can't see anything in my usual places. Wan-Bissaka's situation is the same, mate. It's exactly the same as it was yesterday. Inter Milan swap deal with Denzel Dumfries. That's one option. And then the other option is a move to West Ham. So, yeah, Wan-Bissaka will leave the club. I'm almost certain of it. But it might just take a little bit longer to get it over the line. I've just opened Spotify. We don't want that. What else have we got here? All right, let's move on to Jarrad Branthwaite then, shall we? Because I know a lot of people are probably waiting for that part of the show. So the news this evening, which has shocked a lot of people, is that Everton have just signed a guy called O'Brien. I don't know who this guy is. I'm not going to lie to you. He plays for Lyon in the French league. This was coming out from Fabrizio Romano, who is reporting that. So he says, exclusive, Everton have agreed a deal with Olympique Marseille for centre-back Jake O'Brien. He says, medical to take place tomorrow. Personal terms are agreed, 5-year contract. Now, this guy apparently could be the replacement for Jarrad Branthwaite. They've signed him for 24 million euros. I still think we're going to go in for Branthwaite, and I still think we're going to get him, to be honest. I think it's written in the stars. They've just signed this Jake O'Brien guy. Obviously, they've got other players in that position as well, Everton. Imagine if we go and put in a bid for Branthwaite now. I honestly would not be surprised at all. I really, really wouldn't. And that's what's effectively being reported this evening, that this Jake O'Brien guy has come in as Branthwaite's replacement. Because the thing you have to remember is, right, Branthwaite has refused to sign a new deal at Everton. And he's effectively said he's unhappy there and he wants to move. Man United have offered him crazy wages, 160k a week. And this is a massive boost for Manchester United. And it completely opens the door for us to go and sign Jarrad Branthwaite now, because they've effectively got his replacement. His replacement is signed. He's travelling to Merseyside now, and he's going to do his medical tomorrow. That's literally been widely reported in the last couple of minutes by Fabrizio and other people. Now, how much money will it cost to get Jarrad Branthwaite over the line? 45 million is the current offer, and that was rejected. So we're not going to get him for 45 million, for those of you who are saying that in the chat. I think it's going to be 50 plus add-ons. And I'm going to say this now. I would much rather Jarrad Branthwaite for 50 million than De Ligt for 42 million. I really, really would. I think Jarrad Branthwaite, in the long run, would be a much better signing. And the reason why is because of Branthwaite's versatility. Branthwaite can play as a left-sided centre-back, right-sided centre-back, and he can play as a left-back as well. So he gives you lots of options across that back line. Whereas, as far as I'm aware, Matthijs de Ligt is a right-sided centre-back. I think he can play at left-sided centre-back as well, but his best position is right-sided centre-back, right? He's right-footed. And I just think in the long run, Jarrad Branthwaite would be a much more clever signing. Obviously, he's worked with Ruud van Nistelrooy before at PSV as well, so they've already got a relationship. And Erik ten Hag is desperate to bring him in. And so is Ineos, and so is Dan Ashworth. Like, they all really, really want Jarrad Branthwaite. I have a feeling we're going to go in the next couple of days with a £50 million bid. That will be our best and final offer, plus add-ons. And I think for 50 million, that's the very, very top of his value, I think. And even then, it's maybe a little bit high, but I don't think we'll regret it in the long run, you know? Because we'll literally have our centre-back situation sorted then for the next decade. You'd have Jarrad Branthwaite and you'd have Lemony Yoro. So on transfer market, Jarrad Branthwaite is valued at £42 million. We've offered 45, they said no. But, yeah. Effectively, a player will go for whatever the other team wants to sell him for, you know? So whether we think he's worth 30 or not is kind of irrelevant. Josh says, I don't think this guy is going to be Branthwaite's replacement. That's what people have been saying today. So we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. Obviously, Everton have got quite a few options in the centre-back position, you know? So I don't know why they would go and sign... I don't know why they would go and sign this guy. They've got Branthwaite, Tarkowski, Michael Keane, Holgate, and there's somebody else who I don't know. So they've already got 5 centre-backs already, and they've just gone and signed a 6th one. Unless Everton are going to go to a back 3, why would they need 6 centre-backs? So yeah, well, obviously we'll wait and see, but I do think it's a big boost in Manchester United's pursuit of Jarrad Branthwaite, and that's what's being widely reported in the last couple of minutes. Obviously they got rid of Amadou Onana, didn't they? But obviously he's in a different position. So I'm just seeing who else they've signed. Yeah, they have signed a couple of players already, haven't they, Everton? They've signed that Ndea guy from Marseille. They signed Lindstrom from Napoli on loan. So yeah, they are doing quite a lot of business this window. Josh says they sold Godfrey, though. They've still got 5 centre-backs, though, mate. They've got 5 centre-backs, and now they've got this other guy as well. So they'll have 6 centre-backs. The thing is, right, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Manchester United definitely still want to sign Branthwaite. That's been widely reported. So it all just depends on whether they go back in with this another bid. But obviously, we don't know that for sure yet, do we? I'm just checking if there's any other breaking news. I think that's everything for today's show, guys. We've reached the natural end of the video. People are saying that Everton have had a good transfer window. Yeah, they've done good. Yeah, they have. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on the show this evening. Please make sure to smash a like on today's video before you leave. Please subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. I'll be back live at 8:30 tomorrow morning, hopefully with some good news to bring you. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great evening, everybody. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye for now. Quickly, actually, the results of the poll. 48% of people want Jarrad Branthwaite and 52% of people want De Ligt. So it's very, very equal. Pretty much 50-50. So, yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, bye for now, everyone. I'll speak to you all tomorrow.